Thank you so much for joining us. We are just about to have a very important conversation. We are tracing the journey of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, which was established at a time when Kenya's capital, Nairobi, was on the verge of falling apart, a leadership wrangle that denied Kenyans a chance to benefit from service delivery and other functions that they ought to have gained as a citizenry. At that time, President Uhuru Kenyatta established the Nairobi Metropolitan Services and placed Major General Mohammed Abdalla Badi as the man in charge of this particular docket as the Director General. What are some of the things that he has done that you would term as his key achievements? Has it been easy for him? And what is it that he plans going forward before his 2-year term elapses? That is the conversation that I'm just about to have with the man himself, a highly decorated military man who is respected and has achieved quite a lot, just to understand what is his vision for Nairobi. Thank you so much, sir, for creating time for us.
Thank you very much. And to start off my vision is to have an all-inclusive modern green city of choice for habitation, investment and tourism. So that's roughly my vision. My mission is to provide efficient, reliable, safe and sustainable integrated infrastructure systems and services for socio-economic development in the Nairobi metropolis. Now, that's my the vision and mission. And of course, my motto is where efficiency meets effectiveness.
Efficiency meets effectiveness. Thank you so much for starting us off on that particular note. And we are now just going to be breaking all that down to see how you seek to achieve all that. Okay. Let's begin by you just telling us how the road has been for you. It's almost 9 months. Yes. You took office at a time when there was a heightened political temperature in Nairobi County. I don't know how you term your journey so far, sir.
Well, it wasn't easy from the start. And remember when we were appointed, it was 18th of March this year, and that's the time COVID had just been announced in Kenya. So we had to work under the COVID conditions, which are not easy in terms of development projects. And of course, the turmoil of what was happening in the county assembly then. But we came in with the mandate of the 4 transferred functions, mainly health, lands and physical planning, water and sanitation, energy, transport service, and public works. Now, those are major functions in Nairobi. And if you look at transport, roads, and public works, most of the roads were damaged. There were clear plans on how to rehabilitate them, but they were not implemented. But again, there has been hassle and tussle in that job. Most of the time you find the governor refusing to accept for me to get my budget. Most of the time he rushes to court to stop any budget allocation. So this sort of frustrates the effort.
How are you sailing through the political, influence and the power struggle that is currently going on between you and the Nairobi Governor, Mike Sonko?
Well, initially we had no issues until the transfer of budget came to me. So that has been the major struggle. And of course, he's been on and off in court to object to what we are doing. But in terms of development, again, even the area members of county assembly noticed that my work was service delivery and not politics. So majority of them are now backing me, and you can see that any vote of budget, they pass it unanimously. All of them vote for it to come to me. So that has been the greatest advantage I've had. But most of the restraints have been court orders, of course stopping me to continue with certain works. He was challenging our existence, our legitimacy. So all these court processes sort of frustrated some of the efforts. But nevertheless, we are now getting above it. We have been approved by court and now continuing with the projects and service delivery.
Who is who in Nairobi County? Are you taking over his job, or what is it that is happening?
Not really. Remember that Nairobi County has 16 functions and only 4 are transferred to me. So you can see what I'm doing out of 4, and probably he has to prove himself in the other 12. So I think the Nairobi citizens themselves will speak. But remember, I'm not a politician. I'm here from the military to work, and that's my work.
You said that it has not been an easy journey, and there has been quite a bit of a power struggle that you've had to deal with in the course of you delivering on your mandate. But we're more interested in understanding what you've done so far with regards to the 4 functions that you were placed in charge of. And let's begin with transport. And specifically, I'd like to touch on the vision to decongest the city.
One is that the roads themselves, they were not in good condition. Second, decongestion, you could see the traffic lights in Nairobi had failed. To a certain extent, they were not working. Third, there must be ways. We have a lot of public transport vehicles coming within the CBD, including borders, all sorts of PSVs, matatus, buses, and etc. Now, within the CBD, it denied chance for people to drive their cars freely. Most of the roads were packed with traffic jam. So we first embarked to know what was the problem of traffic lights. Unfortunately, the contractor who was given the contract to repair was not paid. And he was paid initially, but the remaining sum was not given to him. And the contractor was from China, and he had taken off because of frustrations he was getting at City Hall. So we tried to trace him through the Chinese embassy, and the embassy was very nice to us. They traced him and called him back. We paid him the balance and they finished the work. So now most of the traffic lights are working. That all sorts of ease the problem of traffic policemen or traffic marshals marshalling cars around all corners and roundabouts. Second, we started the project of seeing how we can have bus terminals just outside CBDs, so that every route plunging into Nairobi will have a destination just outside CBD, and they will turn back to go ply the same route to and fro. So we have identified bus terminals, different areas of the city, like the Nairobi Railway Club is where we are building a modern bus terminus that will cater for the vehicles coming from Mombasa Road and the Ngong route. So they will all end up there. We have another terminus at Landis. We have already 2 terminus at Desai Road and Park Road for thicker matatus and that route coming from Westlands. We are also acquiring certain lands here near Grogan Road at the Globe roundabout, just next to it, to have another terminus for all matatus coming from Isli and so forth. So different routes. We have another one in Westlands, near where the expressway crosses the bridge. So we are making these terminus, and we intend to make them into modern bus terminus where there is a pickup point, a drop-off point, and resting areas for matatus where we have abolition, places where they can shower and change, several restaurants for both the matatu drivers and the passengers. We'll have police posts at different the Matatu terminus. So we intend them to build them into modern terminus, and this will decongest actually the city within the CBD area. There will be easier flow of traffic within that. Then, in cooperation with Kenya Railways, we have now started the commuter rails that His Excellency the President launched around 2 to 3 weeks ago. These commuter rails will be bringing most of the passengers from heavy areas like Bakassi, Ruiru, and so forth. So once the passengers use commuter rails into the CBD, the railway station within CBD, we'll have the BRT buses that will be ferrying passengers from the railway station to the different Matatu terminals. And then somebody can, if he has an ongoing journey, he can go. And if those passengers are coming within CBD, then this is just a walking distance. So that will sort of ease a lot of people using personal vehicles to come into CBD.
In terms of the parking spaces, turning them into pathways and cycling lanes, what impact did that have in terms of revenue collection, and how did you bridge that gap?
Of course, to modernize the city, there must be certain compromises. Yes, it doesn't impact much in terms of revenue, because we were picking the parking spaces along the major roads. It's not all parking spaces that have been taken, and there are several projects of parking that are ongoing, like the one of the church that has 5 floors underground modern parking. We as Nairobi Metropolitan Services are going to partner with an international partner, and the parking down here just next to High Court, which we call sunken parking, we intend to have it built to 12 floors underground parking. So those will be sufficient parking for within CBD, because we'll have almost 2,000 spaces underground parking, and it'll all be digital.
All right, as we just about to close on that decongestion plan, there are some concerns that have been raised with regards to lack of stakeholder engagement with the directive to relocate the bus terminus. Would you say there was adequate stakeholder engagement?
Yes, they have. We are engaging them throughout. In fact, some of the ideas, modern ideas that we are incorporating while building the bus terminus came from the Matatu Sacco. Of course, there will be politics about it. Some people will go and say they are not engaged. But the proper route circles, we are engaging all of them in all routes, because we want this to be a smooth transition. We don't intend it to be chaos. And we are also explaining that this is not going to cut down their earning. They are still going to operate the same routes, probably charging the same fares. The only thing is that they'll just be bringing them next to CBD, not inside CBD. That's the only difference.
Let's talk about the health sector. What is it that you found most unfortunate about the health sector in Nairobi, and how did you seek to change that narrative?
It was a chaotic situation. But the most unfortunate, when it came to health, there was no health facility in any of the slums. And this was since independence. In Mukuru, there was one Catholic dispensary run by an NGO, and it had an 8-bed capacity. 8 beds catering for close to 500,000 people. It was not sufficient.
That ratio is not even
The ratio
realistic.
is completely unrealistic. For any maternity mother, she was given 1 hour to deliver and get out of the hospital because of the queue. So it was really a pathetic situation. we brought up the situation with the Ministry of Health and His Excellency the President, where he gave us permission to start building hospital in all slums. So we've started a project of building 24 hospitals, level 2 and level 3. We hope that before Christmas they'll be finished because we wanted to do them in 3 months.
How many have you built so far?
They are progressing well. I think there are 5 that were already in existence but built halfway. So those we have engaged those contractors, and all is because they were not paid. So we have engaged, entered into new contracts, into 4 of them. 1 of them we are still having challenge, but we hope we'll sort it out. The 4 have already started, and hopefully before Christmas, the ones who are half-made will be ready. The ones that we started afresh, we have over 14 now up ongoing out of the 19, because total there are 24. Apart from making the new 24 hospitals, we are also upgrading the current status of the hospitals like Mama Lucy. We are going to upgrade it from level 4 to level 5. There is Korokocho Hospital, which was started to be built 20 years ago, but was never completed. But we have taken it upon us, and we hope before April next year, that level 5 hospital, it's a huge hospital, 4 stories that has all the health departments incorporated in that hospital, including even a mortuary for the hospital. So that's going to be a huge hospital serving quite a densely populated area of Mathare, Korokocho, and Mwiki areas. That will be their main referral hospital. So by creating these 24 hospitals, then we ensure that service delivery in terms of health is taken to the wananchi.
We cannot have hospitals without people, and right now as we speak, we've witnessed a lot of threats, and others is not even at the threat level, industrial action by the healthcare workers. I know this may not fall under your docket, but being in charge of the county health services now under the NMS, to the best of your knowledge, what is happening in terms of just addressing the welfare of the healthcare workers during COVID-19?
You know, within the health, there were some administrative issues that have been ongoing for years. And yes, there are issues like promotion that they are crying for, insurance, and other administrative issues. But we are engaging with them. As far as Nairobi County is, we sat with the unions, started on their HR promotion issues. The insurance, yes, we did engage NHIF. Unfortunately, the county had already sponsored them through AAR, which they are not happy with. So it's not been easy, and you cannot have double insurance because the county had already paid AAR for the health workers, and they want to be sponsored under NHIF. So we are negotiating and see how we can disengage some of these private insurances that have been hired by the counties, and we want to engage NHIF for them. It's not an easy journey. There must be negotiation on how we are going to draw them from AAR and place them under NHIF. So all these are administrative issues. Of course, the term of PPEs, we are engaging to ensure that there are sufficient PPEs in all the county hospitals.
All right, still on health, the county is still leading, is among the counties that are leading in terms of the positive cases of COVID-19. From where you sit, what do you think has been the weakest link in our war against COVID, especially looking at the Nairobi case?
I think mostly sometimes the message round. People are quite defiant when it comes to observing the health regulation. especially in heavily populated area, you'll find people breaking the basic COVID rules, using sanitizers and masks. And that's why we came into making masks out of cloth, so that will make somebody be able to wash it and reuse it. But still, some areas you'll pass, you'll see people not using the mask. Sanitizers, people used it initially when it was announced. After that, you will find people not caring much, keeping social distance, they were not observing it. So these basic rules, of course, escalated the COVID cases. And apart from that, remember that Nairobi is also very highly populated, almost to 5 million. So you will always see the cases higher than any other county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about the solid waste management project. And I'd just like to find out what progress has been made with regards to this initiative.
We did quite a lot. Initially, when we came in, we had little budgets when we started, so we engaged NYS to do the solid waste collection. It went on well, but the capacity of NYS could not cater for the whole county. So we started on a project of engaging. There were already contracted private companies that were doing solid waste in Nairobi. So that reduced a bit of our work on solid waste. And then, of course, I had to take inventory of what the county had. And I found almost all the county vehicles broken down. So my major journey was to repair all the county vehicles, including ambulances, fire vehicles, and the solid waste or the garbage trucks. Just to repair the first, I think, 83 vehicles. The bill then was coming close to 280 million, which we did not have. So I consulted the military where I come from and had a special unit to come and repair these vehicles. And we managed to recover 83 trucks using only 22 million. And you see, His Excellency came to flag them off. We have now started on the second batch. And hopefully, as our fleet grows, we'll be able to cater for all the areas in terms of solid waste collection. We used to collect 1,000 tons per day. But the capacity of Nairobi in terms of solid waste was 3,000. Right now we have reached that capacity. We are collecting 3,000 tons per day.
This closely ties with the issue of providing water also, just in sort of,
yes, true. As I said, when we first came in, we started providing water through water bowsers. But that was just an immediate solution to cater for COVID crisis. And the medium-term solution was to build borehole in all these areas. And you remember during my first 100 days, I managed to build 93 boreholes. Right now, we are doing another 100, which will be ready again before Christmas. So with 193 boreholes around Nairobi County, I think it will cater for most of the water shortages. But that's not a long-term plan. There is going to be a total rehabilitation of the water infrastructure that will cater for the shortages of water. Remember that Nairobi actually requires around 800,000 cubic meters per day. Right now, the current infrastructure is producing around 525,000 cubic meters. So there is almost 275,000 cubic meters shortage per day. With these boreholes, we have reduced it with another 12 or 15,000 cubic meters. With Nairobi Water and Earthy Water, who are in charge of infrastructure, water infrastructure, we are creating a northern corridor with Ministry of Water, and that will cater for another 140,000 cubic meters per day. So as we go on improving the infrastructure, we will cater for the current shortages and also project for future expansion of Nairobi.
For those who may be asking what criteria is used to select which area needs such water points, what would you say?
There is already a study that was done. Remember, there were plans and the development plans were there. It's only that they were not implemented. So it is not something new. I found all the papers, all the research on the table that had been done. These areas had been surveyed. Even the areas where the boreholes were supposed to be dug were already surveyed. The only unfortunate thing is that it was not implemented.
Are you really going to deliver all these goodies within 2 years? Are we going to see all these changes within 2 years?
We have already started, as I told you. We have embarked on the roads projects. We have embarked on the housing projects. The housing project, I found it in existence, but we are going to initiate low-cost housing by December and going to advertise for it. So we are going to build around 50,000 low-cost housing units in Nairobi. In terms of roads, we have already built our own new asphalt plant that will cater for the capacity is more than 10 times what the county had. So with that capacity of producing asphalt, we'll be able to reach out in terms of road repair.
And this plant is already in place?
Yes, it's already existing. His Excellency opened it last month. So all this, we did it within our mandate and within our time frame since we started. The only problem is, again, budget for development is not enough. Remember, now that we are going through COVID crisis, there is already going to be stricter budget controls. So in terms of development, yes, what we have been given will go ahead. But how much we get is how much we can do.
After 2 years, what happens? What is the next step for you?
Remember, I'm still in the military, so I still belong to KDF. I'm seconded here, and my contract is for 2 years. So after 2 years, I go back to the military. Yeah.
No political plans, no political ambitions after you're done with your work?
No, so far no, because I'm still wearing uniform.
All right.
It will be against our ethics for me to talk politics because KDF is a political organization.
Thank you so much, sir, for creating time for us.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps a chance for you to speak to Nairobians, your final word. You can just look at that camera and just give us your parting shot.
Yes, what I want to tell Nairobians is that we are a very transparent organization. We work within the government regulations. And our aim is service delivery in those functions that we are given. And they are definitely going to see the changes because whatever has been in the plans to be implemented will be implemented when NMS has been created. There is no looking back. Our only aim is to ensure that we have a proper, modern, green city, or the green city under the sun. And that I am 100% sure that we are going to achieve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Major General Mohammed Abdalla Badi, the Director General for Nairobi Metropolitan Services, shedding some light on what he has been able to achieve almost 9 months, I beg your pardon, since he took over as the DG of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and what lies ahead as his plan in the next remaining months of his term. Thank you so much for creating time for us tonight. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma. I'll see you next time.